It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So he is the shepherd of the Diocese of Scranton, and he's been doing it for 5 years. It's his 5th anniversary. I'm talking about Bishop Joseph Bambera, and we're here at his office in Scranton. And today it is my honor to once again talk with the bishop on some interesting things that are happening in the diocese. Well, first of all, Bishop, congratulations.
Thanks.
5 years is fantastic.
Thank you.
We miss you back at St. John Bosco.
I miss being there. Okay. They were kinder days.
Well, all the parishioners say hello. Okay,
Thank
every
you.
time they hear I'm going to be interviewing Bishop Bambera, tell them I said hi. Tell them I said hi. So I'm doing that. The state of the diocese. Okay, 5 years. Tell us what the challenges you had, how you accomplished some successes, and where we're going.
First of all, you didn't frame the question this way, but I will pass it on to you that the state of our diocese is good. We have wonderful people, we have good parishes, we have great schools, and we have a desire to do the best that we can to live the gospel. I couldn't ask for more than that. When I became bishop 5 years ago, and 5 years ago I didn't know that I'd make it through 1 year, let alone 5, and time flies when you're having fun, and it's been an incredible ride for me, if you will. It's been an incredible blessing and a great opportunity. When I became bishop, it was on the heels of some very tough decisions that my predecessor had to make, and I often thank him for that, for the fact that he was willing to address our parishes and to right-size them, given the fact that the demographics of northeastern, north-central Pennsylvania have changed over the years. He addressed our schools as well. I would have had to do that had Bishop Martino not. But when I came along, it was real important for me to work with that legacy that then he entrusted to me and that was given to him by many others. And so it was very important that we address our parishes, that on the heels of significant restructuring that saw the closure and consolidation of many parishes, that we support them to strengthen them. And the dust is settled. Our parishes have settled in to a new configuration that was begun by my predecessor before I took office. And they're strong. They're filled with a great deal of activities that indicate vibrant, viable parishes. The same thing with our schools. We had to right-size those as well. I had to do a little bit of that early on in my time here, and our schools are doing very well. In fact, our registrations for the upcoming academic year are coming in ahead of last year, and I'm really grateful to Monsignor Tressler, our superintendent of schools, and all those individuals, especially our principals, who work very, very hard with him. Great opportunities that we have. We have wonderful priests. We have a great group of deacons. In fact, I'll be ordaining a number of deacons to that particular ministry, candidates for the diaconate this coming fall. And we have another class that will be ordained in the next year. And they are all just reminders to me of how the people of this diocese respond in faith. It's a great place to be.
Let me ask you, sometimes parishioners would wonder, how do you come to the decisions you come to, okay, in putting together either a team and, as they say, what would be the process that you use to make these determinations? I mean, I'm sure it's just not, shooting from the hip by no means, okay, but just to give us like behind the scenes type of information of what you do before you make that final decision, because the buck stops with you.
Sure it does. Sure it does. And I'm very conscious of that. And I have a lot of good people, I think, who work around me, whether it be in parishes and schools and our healthcare facilities and the like, who I think at times are so generous and so committed that they're willing to take responsibility for a whole lot of things. And it does ultimately come to me. And I'm certainly recognizing every day. I recognize every day the responsibility that I've been given. When you ask the question about how I come to decisions, if you worked in my closer circle of individuals who I associate with on a regular basis, whether it be an executive council of priests who work with me and on a regular basis, my vicar general, our chancellor, our vicar for clergy. We have an Episcopal Council which is made up of your pastor, Father Lambert, and a number of priests who represent regions of the diocese. Our Office of Parish Life, that's very helpful in looking at parish situations and circumstances. Or if you look at all of my administrative secretaries, those who run all of the various departments of the diocese, from Catholic education to Catholic social services to buildings and grounds and the like, they would tell you that we talk a lot. And my style with which I'm extremely comfortable is to be very collaborative. People use that term a lot. I'm not quite sure it always bears fruit. I found it to be extremely helpful for me. I will make decisions when I have to, and ultimately I do. But it's very important for me to work with various groups and bodies of individuals who can give me the best insights into what I might need to move forward. Take it to another point that might be helpful for our listeners and viewers to hear. One of the things that I ask of every parish, all of our 121 parishes, is that they have consultative bodies in their parish communities, that they have an active, engaged finance council, so that it is a group of individuals who might be chosen because of their expertise in life to help and support a pastor who may have great financial acumen or who may not.
Yeah.
But he's a good pastor,
yes.
and he needs their help. Same thing with the Parish Pastoral Council. Every parish has to have one of those. That was mandated by my predecessor and something I was happy to support. One of the tasks of our parish pastoral councils is not simply to, maybe the way in which councils viewed themselves in the past, where we'd get together and we'd say, well, what color should we paint the church, and where should we put the bike racks out in the church property and the like. That's incidental stuff. What I look to a parish pastoral council to do is to vision for where they see their parish going in the future. What's happening in their local community that may affect their parish. Maybe there's an influx of people moving into an area, maybe a people moving out. Maybe a parish that was very young in terms of its membership years ago is now focusing more on senior citizens. We have to change sometimes our services to fit our needs. And a big thing that I ask all of our parishes to do, in addition to giving me an annual report that helps me make decisions then about the configuration of parishes and the like, is to strategically start to vision for the future. Tell me where you see yourself in 3 to 4 to 5 years.
And one thing that I really appreciate, I'm in the business of communications, okay? And I think what you've done is you're always communicating to the 100 and some parishes that you have. Whether it's via DVD like we had a few weeks ago, but you're open and you're letting us know. And I think that's what the public needs to know, whether it's good or bad, our bishop's there communicating. I think that's an important thing on your part as the bishop, don't you think?
Thank you. I hope that people see it in that way. If I may talk about that video that you referred to, we talked about a lot of things in that video. We talked about the good state of our diocese, the vibrancy of our parishes, and we talked a little bit about a challenge that we're facing right now with some diminished numbers of priests to serve our parishes. So this is not about looking at parishes. They're strong, they're vibrant, they need to continue to be that way. But I'm going to be facing a bit of a challenge for how to staff them. That's not to raise an alarm, as some individuals said when I put that video out there. It's to simply say, hey folks, you're in this with me. You're supporting your parishes, you're gifted, you're serving your parishes in a whole lot of different ways. You're probably still a lector at your parish. And, people bring all sorts of gifts. I need them to continue to step up to the plate. Our parishes will survive. I just need support right now as we look at some potential ways of having to creatively address a difficulty that I'm facing right now with a number of priests who are retiring.
I'm going to go to break and I'm going to continue on with
Sure.
this, but I want to just make one statement, and I want the viewers to know this. At least I believe this. When Bishop Bambera asks for input, he really means he wants input. It's not a matter of just saying those things, okay? Because you're a very hands-on bishop, and as a result, you see what's happening in the parishes that you oversee. Folks, I'm talking to Bishop Joseph Bambera. We come back. Let's talk about how we in the diocese can help with the challenges that he's going to be facing with so many priests, over 40-some priests, I think you said, within the next 5 years or something.
10 years.
10 years
Yeah.
will not be here. How do we get more priests? Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, you can watch all of our shows 24/7 on ssptv.com. My email, sam@ssptv.com. I'm honored to be here in Scranton talking to the good Bishop Joseph Bambera, who was our pastor one time at St. John Bosco. Bishop, vocations. Let me ask you a personal question. How did you become a priest?
I graduated high school, and my pastor said to my parents, as I was going off to the University of Pittsburgh to be a dentist, my pastor said, "We thought we had a priest in him." And I couldn't believe it. And, I went off to the University of Pittsburgh. By God's grace and providence, I got involved in campus ministry. And one thing led to another, and I felt a call to enter into the seminary, and I did after I graduated from Pitt. That's what prompted me.
How many brothers and sisters in your family?
I have one sister.
Okay. And what happened when you told your parents that you wanted to become a priest?
Well, it's an interesting statement. My parents were always very supportive of me, but I would have to say that when I initially offered that thought about what I wanted to do, my father was extremely pleased. His uncle was a priest. And my mother was much more concerned. And she was concerned about my future. She wondered if I'd be lonely. She wondered if I'd be taken care of. I suppose as any parent, and maybe particularly a mother, worries about her son or her daughter. That changed, obviously, as time went on. But, it's an interesting point that you raise. We do have a challenge right now, as we alluded to just a moment ago, with a number of priests retiring. That being said, we have wonderful men in the seminary, and we're working extremely hard to make those numbers grow. Do you know what, though, one of the biggest challenges is to a young man going into the seminary today? Just what you said when you asked that question. His family.
Yes. And that's why I brought it up, Bishop, because I think sometimes I see in our parish, there's two young boys, they're in college, not that I'm an expert, who would make excellent priests, okay? And I think sometimes we have to encourage these young people.
We do.
It's not like, you're not going to be a priest, are you? Well, what's so bad about being a priest, okay? It's a great calling. And I must tell you, when I was 18 years old and I asked Father Ferreira, Joseph Ferreira, I said, "Father, you think they'll ever have priests become married?" And he says, "Sammy, we're not going to see it in our lifetime." And that was one of the reasons why I didn't go into the priesthood. I wasn't going to be a hypocrite, but I wanted to support whatever I could. So I think there's a lot of people. Well, let me ask you, what can we do, okay, lay people in the parishes, or what can we do to help, with vocations or to help in our parishes?
Well, first of all, we can always look to identify individuals that we think might have the qualities of being a priest. Just like that pastor said about me, we thought we had a priest in him for X, Y, and Z reasons. That didn't resonate with me at that moment, but I never forgot it, because that's 40 years ago, and I still remember those words. Mm-hmm. So they obviously stayed with me. So you can encourage, you can support, but I think another thing that is so vital to the whole issue of vocations is really for all of us to begin to look at ultimate values in our lives? What really matters? When you see a young man and you think, maybe he has the calling to be a priest, but he's a bright guy. He probably could be maybe he could be a doctor. Maybe he'd probably do so much better. And God bless, we need doctors, we need teachers, we need lawyers, we need people like yourself who are working in communications. We need everybody to make this world filled with good Christian values that you bring in your particular line of work. But how important it is for us sometimes to step back and say, the ultimate measure of a person's success is not so much the amount of money that they have in a bank account. Yeah. You know the old adage, nobody ever asks or worries about that as they face their maker.
So let me ask you, Bishop Bambera, and be honest with me. How many times when you're alone and you look at yourself in the mirror, did you at any point in time say, wow, why did I become a priest? Wow, what am I doing as this bishop? Where you have to reflect. Did you ever have those moments? And if you did, what did you do to overcome those moments?
Now, what do you think?
Well, I know the answer, but sometimes they don't think you bleed. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't think that you have emotions.
Sure.
And knowing you as much as I did, and renewing our 25th wedding anniversary. Now we're going on 41 years. You see what you did? But the point is that you do have those feelings, and so people get depressed. What do you do to bring yourself and say, come on, snap out of it, Joe. Let me move ahead.
And I will get back to me, but it's no different than any walk of life. Every person wakes up someday, they look in the mirror, they might look at what they have to do during the course of the day, or what they put to rest the day before, and say, why did I do this? Why did I become a priest? Why did I say yes to being a bishop? Why did I get married? Why did I, choose to be a parent? It can be challenging. And then we stop and we say, but this is where God has planted me. And how do I snap out of it, to use your terminology? What I do is I will, and this is not to make myself sound particularly pious or anything. I'll step back and I'll sit down and try to just reflect, be a little bit quiet, pray, just talk to God, try to sort out whatever it is that maybe brought me to that moment of wondering what's going on here. And usually what carries me through, it's, Lord, this is where you called me. I did the best that I could in saying yes. It's your church. You take care of it from here. There's a wonderful line that was shared by St. John the 23rd, and it's where I really get that sentiment from. He who was such an incredible leader of the church, really convened the Second Vatican Council and did so with such grace and love and even humor. There was a prayer that he would often utter every night before he would go to bed, and it would be, Lord, it's your church, I'm going to bed. And, there's a certain wisdom to that. You called me, Lord, I said yes, the best that I could. Yeah. I'll use the gifts you gave me in as best I possibly can, but it's yours.
Before I go to break, when I tell people, pray for our priest. Pray for our bishops.
Thank you.
Because let me tell you, I've been very fortunate to be close to a lot of priests. And if they only know some of the things that they have to go through, the joys, the sorrows, dealing with families. And I said, you're human. You have emotions, okay?
Sure.
And it's very quick to criticize and, without knowing a full story, And I tell them, look, maybe Bambera got me mad, etc. But the point is, he's our bishop. And we got to pray for him, okay? And I think that's very important. Now, with that being said, when I come back, folks, there's something that the Diocese of Scranton does every year. They have an annual appeal. And it is so very, very important for us to participate. No matter what degree, it's important for us to participate. Stay with us. When we come back, I'm going to ask the good bishop some of the things that they use this money for. And I'm sure after he's done, if you haven't made a pledge, I would encourage you to make that pledge. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. I'm here with the good bishop of the Diocese of Scranton, Bishop Joseph Bambera. I said before the break, the annual appeal. We got about 4 minutes. Tell me why, I know why, but tell our viewers why the bishop's, not the bishop, but the annual appeal is so very important, Bishop.
Well, we spent the last few moments talking about vocations, talking about priests, talking about our parishes. We've referred to our great Catholic school system in the Diocese of Scranton. I'll put into that mix Catholic social services and the incredible good that it does, certainly in the Hazleton area, as your viewers all know. Neil Oberto and all of his team are just incredible. All of those opportunities are so significantly touched by the appeal. Our retired priests who help out in our parishes, are especially the training of young men and a little bit older who feel that they have a vocation to the priesthood. That's so imperative to all of us. The support for our schools, for our parishes, and the like. It's I can go on for the next half hour.
Well, let me add my input here, if I may. We have social services, okay? And I think I think you asked anyone, they want to help people. And when they see these social services, that they're giving people food, clothes, help, that means a lot to people like me, because you're helping the poor, okay? My 2 grandchildren go to Catholic school. Nothing wrong with the public schools, okay? In our Hazleton area school is. But we're just so very happy, okay, that the 2 of them are in Catholic school. So I think that when you're making a pledge and you know that the money is going to extremely good use, and your administrative costs are very small. I mean, you're not spending thousands of dollars for Bill Janello's salary, okay? But so this is my check, okay, and a pledge for a couple thousand, okay, that is from Debbie Lesante, Janine Lesante, Sammy Jr. We all got together and said, look, we're going to give you, the annual appeal, and I want to present this to you.
Well, thank you.
And I'm hoping that our viewers would look. So I give up 1 dinner a week, okay, or 1 going to the show or whatever. And if it's $50 a month, that we could support, or whatever you have. I said this to you before. They say, why do you give to the church? And I said, it's very simple. I remember reading a slogan, you stop giving to God when He stops giving to you. Okay, and I think I mentioned that before, and I think that's the way I feel about it. I'm only hoping that people out there would understand that you're such a great bishop. Okay, wow. and I think all our priests need support, need help. Our deacons, and you certainly are a good shepherd.
I try the best I can, and I say this all the time, and I mean it with all my heart. I am so extremely fortunate to be bishop in my home diocese. I was born and raised in this diocese and served in parishes throughout it. And I think it's one of the best in the world. And we've got incredibly good priests, we've got wonderful religious, we've got great deacons, and we have parishes that are filled with some of the best people and most committed people in the world.
Well, I'm going to just touch on this for 1 minute. I went to the annual men's conference, and I'm thinking 300, 400 people. You had more people there than you said that the New York Archdiocese had, okay? Mm-hmm. But what a tremendous tribute, okay, to the men of the Scranton Diocese in support of their priest, in support of their bishop. Looking at you up there, you were just, you were so excited and elated to see all these men.
And do you know why I was? Because when that idea was presented to me, it came from one of our priests, Father Leo McKernan, and then a man by the name of Mike Kilmer and Glenn Yannick came and saw me in my office. It was their idea. They'd been to a conference elsewhere. And I said, men, I'll give you all the support I can, but you got to do it. It was one of those moments where I just simply said, you have the gifts, you have the talents, here you go. And they took it and they ran with it.
Wow.
And that's why it's just so important for all of our people to realize that as we face some challenges with leadership, we'll be fine. Yeah. All we need is our people to step up and use what God gave them and give it back.
You know Father Ryan, don't you?
I do.
Well, tell him to expand his auditorium from next year, because it's going to be overflowed April 16th. Thanks again, Bishop.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your gift and thanks for your good work.
My pleasure. We're talking to Bishop Joseph Bambera. Remember, folks, the website is on the screen. You could go there and you could see the bishop's message along with all the other stuff. Any question you have about, the annual appeal, where your money's going to go, how they're going to use it, They'll answer that for you, believe me. But if you haven't given to the annual appeal, give something. Thanks for being with us.